Good evening, viewers. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. It's day 2. Rahul Gandhi continues to be questioned by the ED as I speak, while the Congress leaders today, massive protests ensued on the streets of the national capital, central Delhi, second day running. What also happened today, viewers, that the TMC's Abhishek Banerjee's wife, Rujira, was also questioned, this time by the other central agency, CBI. In all of this, the opposition says that this is a witch hunt using the caged parrot analogy. However, the centre and the BJP continues to call it due process. I have with me Dr. Shama Mohammed from the Congress. I have Saket Gokhale, spokesperson TMC, and I'd be joined very shortly by Aparajita Sarangi, Lok Sabha MP, Bharatiya Janata Party. Dr. Shama Mohammed, I want to begin with you. You yourself got detained yesterday. Ma'am, the point is, what is the public spectacle of leaders coming together on the streets that is being questioned? Primarily, if there is no guilt, he'll be let off. It's just questioning.
First and foremost, I want to ask the government, why have they put in section 144? Preeti, is this a democracy or not? We wanted to do a peaceful march from AICC to ED. And what is wrong? That is there in our constitution. Anybody can do a peaceful march. There is no violence. Now, when do you put a section 144? When the Karni Senas are out, you see those sort of violence happening, and what happened in Haryana, the Jat protests, or whatever. Then there is section 144 put in, Why was, the first question we asked today is, why was section 144 put in? Number 2, section 144 is when there are more than 4 people together, isn't it? That's when it is, when they pick you up. Now, I was picked up yesterday when I was giving an interview. Suppose you were there as an anchor. I was giving an interview to a television channel reporter, and myself and him and the cameraman. And the cameraman was a bit far. So why was I picked up? What is happening in our country? So I asked the police lady, Madam, aapne kyun mujhe uthaya hai? Nahi, upar se order aaya hai, adesh aaya hai. Who is this upar se order? What is Astana doing? Who is Astana? The stooge of Amit Shah. Amit Shah is put out the police just like that. The police of Delhi police have become puppets. They only go after opposition leaders. They go after, they have no spine now. They become spineless police, the Delhi police. So the first question we need to ask is this. The other thing is, it is about it's our party's call. It's solidarity, because what we are seeing right now, the ED is only after the opposition leaders. Now, for example, let me give you a simple thing. ED was investigating Suvendu Adhikari when he was a minister with TMC in 2017 in the Sharda and Narda case. Now, what has happened to that investigation? 2020, after he joined, it's become quiet. In 2017, when Mukul Roy joined, he was just being investigated. Mukul Roy joined the party. The investigations stopped, BJP. So, what has happened to the Louise Berger case? Louise Berger case, when it comes to Himanta Biswa Sarma, that has been stopped. So, it is like when you join the Bharatiya Janata Party, you get cleansed. And also, let's not forget, the owner of Sarda has said that, Sudipta Sen has said, 6 crores, he's written a letter to the Prime Minister saying 6 crores has been taken by Suvendu Adhikari. So why is the Prime Minister quiet on this? He said, na khaunga, na khane dunga. He's letting everybody eat. And what is this? So why?
Shama Mohammed, as I bring in Saket Gokhale into this conversation as well, it's not just the BJP that's accusing the Congress of indulging in baseless theatrics on the streets of the national capital, trying to divert attention, what they call is due diligence. The TMC, is an opposition party. The TMC has also said that the Congress is trembling because they are being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate.
It's not a question of, I don't know which statement you're referring to, but I, as the national spokesperson, have not made, and I don't think any of our other national spokespersons have made any statements like that.
I'll play it out, but it's come from your party in Kolkata. One of your top leadership has made it. I'll just play that out, but yes, go ahead.
Again, at the end of the day, the party, it's the spokesperson. There's a reason we are spokesperson. We speak for the party. And, those are the official comments. So, no, look, here's the thing. We're all, as opposition parties, we might have our differences. But as Dr. Mohammed was rightly saying earlier, if you look at it, the BJP has been going after pretty much every opposition party in this country. Now, I have a very simple question. We all know that Vyapam happened in Madhya Pradesh. When Himanta Biswa Sarma was in the Congress, the BJP had even brought out an entire booklet talking about corruption that he had done in the Sarda case as well as in the Louise Berger case. So my question really is, what is this washing machine A, number one, where a person joins the BJP and then they stop getting any summons from media and CBI? Question number two is, in the last 8 years of the Modi government, we have not seen the ED or the CBI going after a single leader, forget a minister, not even a single major or minor leader, not even a Zilla Parishad member of the BJP.
Right.
So are we really trying to, is the Prime Minister, is the government really trying to say that except for the Bharatiya Janata Party, every other party in this country are corrupt? Question number three, which I want to ask here, is that the BJP says, no, let the law take its course. But we have seen time and again how these agencies turn the process into punishment. We saw what happened with an Aryan Khan, for example. We saw what happened with the Riya Chakravarti, for instance. Mr. Abhishek Banerjee today was traveling to Agartala. They sent him a notice yesterday purely for the simple reason that they wanted to stop him from going. When he went to Agartala, they went to his house and they questioned his wife. Now, the bottom line is, we have seen CBI was called a caged parrot by the Supreme Court even under the previous government. But today we are seeing it to a point where, forget political opponents, the BJP has also started going after family members. I mean, do we have any semblance of even decency left? I mean, forget vendetta is something that we have now taken for granted that this government does. But where is the decency at least? I mean, has any party ever gone to the family members? When Mr. Shah was questioned by the SIT in Gujarat, was his family at that point questioned? No, these are not things that you do. But the point of the BJP here is that they claim that they are the clean ones. Everyone else is dirty, and therefore they will go after everybody. So the question is, really, who has given BJP the certification of being the, holier than thou party?
I want to bring in, Aparajita Sarangi from BJP MP, but I'll just, Mr. Gokhale, you asked who said this. Jago Bangla is the mouthpiece of your own party, the TMC. It was the front page headline yesterday, which said Congress is trembling. Just to let you know that. But Aparajita Sarangi, both Saket Gokhale and Shaba Mohammed have made this one point. And let's just look at the optics of it all. You have the ED questioning Rahul Gandhi, day 2. You have the CBI questioning Rujira Banerjee, who is the wife of Abhishek Banerjee, the nephew of Mamta Banerjee. Let's look at other political parties. You have Satyendra Jain, who is right now in the ED crosshairs where the Aam Aadmi Party is concerned. The question that the opposition collectively is putting at the doorstep of the BJP, Ms. Sarangi, is there that no BJP leaders corrupt? Because, I'll give you an example. You had Mr. Ishwarappa, where the dying declaration of somebody who committed suicide accused him of corruption. Yet no action is being taken there.
A very good evening.
Good evening.
For the past 2 days, we have been seeing that corruption is being celebrated on the streets of Delhi. And whatever Congress and all its members are doing is nothing but having come out in support of corruption. Now, what's the big deal about it? Enforcement Directorate and CBI, these are investigating agencies. These agencies have been created under the Constitution of India. They are doing their job. They are carrying out their routine tasks of interrogation. They have not put Rahul Gandhi behind jail. They are just interrogating. They want to reach a conclusion. A case is pending and they want to reach a conclusion. Why this hue and cry by Congress? Why this staging of political drama for the past 2 days, causing inconvenience to the people around? Please recall when Prime Minister Modi, when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, had been summoned by SIT, and for full 9 hours, SIT had interrogated him in a closed room. And I have seen the footages. I would request the 2 panelists and others to see the footages. He came out of the room, and when people asked, and when the media asked, what was your experience? He said, I think we should abide by the law. Nobody is above law. So what does Gandhi family want to prove? Are they above law? What is the problem? If they have nothing to hide, if they have nothing to fear, then why this hue and cry? Why is this fear? What is the thing that will come out if he is interrogated? I think, it would have been decency on part of Congress, on part of each member of Congress, if Rahul Gandhi would have walked alone and Rahul Gandhi would have said, I want to be interrogated, I have nothing to hide, there are no skeletons in the cupboard, and I'm ready for any interrogation. You know what?
Yeah.
He would have really gone up in the eyes of the people of the nation.
But Ms. Sarangi, the fact is the fear that the Congress and the TMC elucidates is that what happens to those that you pick up who had cases which the ED pursued, which the CBI pursued and central agency pursued and suddenly have gone into cold storage. There have been many which were elucidated by Ms. Shama Mohammed, by Saket Gokhale, many leaders. What happens there?
No,
That's the question that they're asking.
26th May 2014, Prime Minister Modi has become the Prime Minister of the country. He has taken the reins of the country in his hands. And he has always said there is zero tolerance to corruption. See, it is basically as to how we want to see a situation. In fact, there is absolutely, I reiterate, there is absolutely zero
but Madam,
tolerance
I'll
to
bring in
corruption.
Shama Mohammed, Suvendu Adhikari, Himanta Biswa Sarma. It's a long list. And cases have gone cold there. That's the question that is being raised by the opposition.
I'm telling you, all the investigating agencies are on job, and I can only say two wrongs do not make a right. See, they are deflecting, they are deviating from the central concern. The concern today is the ED case, the National Herald case. Now, can these people say that Rahul Gandhi can absolve himself of all responsibilities? I have a few questions. If you would have given me time, I would have asked those questions. Of course, ED has put 55 questions. 25 questions of ED have been answered. I don't know how satisfactorily, but yes, Rahul Gandhi has
Ma'am, I'll bring in Shama Mohammed, but the fact is,
questions have been put
before. Ma'am, how does the BJP know what questions the ED has asked?
Yeah, how is the BJP MP privy to ED investigation?
No.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back to that. Okay.
No, this has come out in the news yesterday. I'm sorry. You do not come to the news channel.
You're quoting a news piece. You're quoting a news piece.
Yes, of course. I'm quoting a news piece.
Okay, can I just go one by one? Okay, Ms. Sarangi.
Newspaper yesterday.
Ms. Sarangi, you've made your point. I want to cut across. Shama Mohammed wants to come in for a rebuttal, and I'll cut across to Saket Gokhale after that. Go ahead, Ms. Mohammed.
I need you to give me some time. One, she said corruption has been celebrated. That means, is she saying that Rahul Gandhi is corrupt? I mean, there is nothing. He has not been arrested. In that context, I can say that then Mr. Amit Shah is a fake encounter specialist because he was behind bars for fake encounters. That is what it is. So he's an encounter specialist. That's what she's saying. Yedurappa was behind bars. That means he's the most corrupt politician in India. So she cannot say these sort of things that, when somebody's been questioned, they're corrupt. Number one. Number two, she's saying that, Mr. Modi went alone, look at him, oh, so sad. There was huge evidence first against Mr. Modi and whatever the SIT probe. There was huge one. Number two, during that time, ED didn't just go after our own people. Remember, when there was an allegation, Ashok Chavan resigned. When there was an allegation, Pawan Bansal resigned. Many such, Ashwini Kumar, the law minister, had resigned. So that is our government. When we saw that there is an allegation against any of the ministers or any chief minister, we would ask them to resign so that they should get impartial.
No. Okay, Ms. Mohammed, there's no grandstanding there. You and I both know under what conditions Mr. Chavan resigned.
Let me finish.
There is no grandstanding there. Yes.
Let me finish. So during our time, people, when there was an allegation, they resigned. This is not the time. Now what happens is, nobody from the party, even the person whose father, the boy was involved in killing of the farmers, his father, Mr. Teni, was the Minister of State for Home. He did not resign. There is no resignation when there's involvement from their side and when there's huge allegation. Now, in the National Herald case, she keeps talking, oh, what a big corruption, what a big... She doesn't understand the case. That's the most important thing. Young India is a company formed by the Special Companies Act, and which in the section 25, the people, whoever the director
can
is,
I come in
or
for
anybody, they can...
Shama, the fact is, this debate, if we get into the merits of the case, that's a different debate. Let's not get into the merits of the case, because then it will go to a different trajectory.
There's something I wish to add here.
Yes, I'm coming to Mr.
for 30 seconds.
One last point.
Madam, I'll come to each one of you. Shama, would you give me, can I go to Mr. Gokhale? I'm coming right back to you. Okay, ma'am, make your point. Make your point.
The ED cannot question him under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act because there is no FIR. When there is no FIR, ED has no right to
Ma'am,
question
even that is
Mr. Rahul
contentious. You're
Gandhi
getting into
under
the merits of the case. We
Money
can get
Laundering
into that,
Act.
but this is not the platform.
There
This
is
is a
no
political
FIR,
debate.
so there is
This
no
is
case.
not
No,
a
madam.
platform,
Madam,
Dr.
the ED is
Sama
not
Muhammad.
required to
And you are
file an
agitated.
FIR. That's a different
Why do you
thing.
look so agitated?
Okay, sorry, Mr.
Why are you
Gokhale.
agitated?
Cannot be questioned. This is
Okay,
illegal.
okay. Can everyone come down a notch? Mr. Gokhale, you wanted to come in. Go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Chaudhary. In response to what the Honourable Member of Parliament said right now, I would like to point out just 2 or 3 very simple facts. Number one, she says the Prime Minister faced an SIT questioning for 9 hours and everybody should go out and say, yes, please interrogate me. Are we living in a banana republic or a democracy? What is the meaning of civil liberties? I mean, today are we saying that you are guilty and in order to be proven innocent, everybody should go out on the street and say, come please interrogate me, come please interrogate me. And if that is the case, if the Prime Minister is so open to being questioned, why has he, forget investigating agencies, why has the Prime Minister not even had the courage to face a press conference in the last 8 years? Why is he afraid of being grilled by the press? Forget agencies. Agencies come much later. But if he's so amenable to being questioned, in the last 8 years he's been afraid to take questions from the press as well. Number two, you know, here's the same playbook that is being used every time. That was used by the NCB in the Aryan Khan case, in the Riya Chakravarti case before that. How do certain news channels manage to get copies of WhatsApp messages from the ED and NCB? They get a list of questions that the ED is asking. Who is leaking it? Either it is Mr. Rahul Gandhi or any other person sitting there, or it's the Enforcement Directorate. So, pretty sure that it's not the person who's being questioned who's leaking a list of 55 questions. So when the Honourable MP says that these questions were published, is the Enforcement Directorate not bound by any laws of secrecy that they can put out any question in the public domain, share them with the BJP? We've had BJP Member of Parliament Meenakshi Lekhi stand up in the Parliament and say that, no, I have seen Intelligence Bureau files that are maintained on judges of the Supreme Court. What exactly is going on? Are we a banana republic?
Okay, Ms. Sarangi, you've been wanting to come in. Go ahead, madam. Enough questions. I don't need to ask you one. Go ahead.
I just pity Saket Gokhale must come to TV channel debates after proper reading.
Right.
The newspaper brought it out yesterday that 55 questions had been put before Rahul Gandhi. He is not aware of it because he hasn't read the newspaper, he hasn't read the news.
That was put against
Number
Rahul
Please
one.
do not interrupt.
Number two, Dr. Sama Muhammad, I have been seeing her for the past 2 days. She is very much agitated. Please cool down. You know what's happening. You know what has happened with the National Herald case.
Right.
Try to
Okay,
defend.
I'm going to...
Now, there are 5 questions.
You
No,
are
just give me. There are 5 questions. Number one, I
Ma'am,
would
please
just
pose
like
your
to
5
know
questions. I have a guest. I need to cut across to him. Go ahead, ma'am.
Merchandise Private Limited.
Okay,
Is
I
there
have
no
Sachin
link?
Pilot. Ms. Sarangi,
Number
would you...
2, doesn't Dotex Merchandise
I'll come
Private
right back to
Limited
you.
have Hawala transaction?
Right. Ms. Sarangi, I apologize and I apologize. I know you wanted to complete that point. I'll come back to you. I'm doing so because we're cutting across to Sachin Pilot, Congress leader. Mr. Pilot, appreciate you joining us this evening. Second day running. The Congress was on the streets today protesting. The BJP, the government asking you the same question again, Mr. Pilot. If there's nothing to hide, why create this whole spectacle on the streets of the national capital?
To raise the voice of what we think is legitimate political pressure being used to guide agencies is nothing wrong. And second of all, the attitude of the government, you've seen last 2 days, they have actually fortified our office, our headquarters, every single leader. We are trying to say that we are doing a Gandhian march. They denied permission, they put curfew, 144, really brutish behavior by the police. And all we are trying to do is say that we believe that there are agencies that are under pressure. It's a political point we're trying to make. No one is afraid of investigations. You can do whatever you want, you can investigate. The fact of the matter is that after so many years, it's been raked up purely to let the world know that if you oppose the government of India or the ruling party, they will come down upon you. I think it's a case in point that Mrs. Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi are being specifically targeted on some frivolous charges where no FIR has been made, there's no charge sheet, there's no case. It's just to make a political point that opponents will be crushed with a heavy hand, and no matter who you are, you will be taken to task. But I feel that as a political party, we are within our rights to protest, to demonstrate, and we did not make any speeches, there are no stages. We just wanted to have a Gandhian peaceful march, and for that, our leaders were put in jail, detained, hurt, some senior people were injured. I think this kind of behavior in a civil society, in a democratic country, is absolutely unacceptable. And I think what they've done by asking Mr. Rahul Gandhi to come and give statements, they can ask 100 times. But we know that ED, income tax and CBI are pure deployed only to suppress the voice of anyone who opposes the BJP. This is the fact that the whole country now knows. But I think the behavior, the attitude, the actions of the government of India and the ruling party certainly are very condemnable, and we will not accept it.
Mr. Pilot, the other criticism that's coming, the Congress's way, is your top leadership was on the streets of the national capital, and the criticism is that the only thing that can get a rise of the Congress party and its top brass is when the Gandhi family is attacked. There are other issues. Why can't the party band together and talk about those issues that you have spoken about?
I think any one of our leaders who's been targeted wrongfully, we are happy to meet all the legal challenges. But this is the top leadership of the party. They're saying that if we can do this to them, then anybody can be suppressed and their voice can be muzzled. Whether it's Mr. Chidambaram or any other person, the whole party stood behind them. But this is very symbolic. I think the way the summons was sent to Mrs. Sonia Gandhi and then to Rahul Gandhi for 2 days in a row is just to put a narrative in the media and the mainstream that unemployment, inflation, price rise, the killing of the Kashmiri Pandits, all of that news should not flow out. Only this event should happen where we use the agencies to somehow ring fence the leadership and put them under pressure, but that won't be, I don't think that's a successful trick that they're trying to do, because the country is now seeing that this is a purely political gimmickry that the BJP is trying to do through government agencies. But as far as the Congress party is concerned, you've seen last 2 days, all of us have just very politely said that we want the world to know how the government of the day is being exposed. But to use brute force to detain people, hundreds of MLAs, MPs, ministers, and even chief ministers are not allowed to meet people who are detained, police stations, FIRs. I mean, the action of the police and the government of India certainly is something that the whole world is watching, and they stand truly exposed.
Mr. Pilot, are we going to see the entire Congress cadre, your leadership now come out? Is this the new face of the Congress, that we're going to see this kind of aggression from the Congress going ahead, or is it just now limited to Rahul Gandhi being questioned and then, of course, Sonia Gandhi being questioned later?
You're reading it completely wrong. There is no aggression from our side. We wanted a simple, plain Padyatra Satyagraha Yagra from our party office to the ED office, just as a show of symbolism that we are ready to face any challenge, any scrutiny, any pressure, but we won't be bogged down. We will ask the tough questions, make the government accountable, ask for transparency. And 8 years later, you can't keep shoving the blame of today's crisis to the previous governments. I think this is something that we wanted to do. But look at the action that the police has taken. I mean, Mr. Chidambaram was injured, Mr. Venugopal, the clothes are being ripped apart, the way the police is acting on leaderships. I think that's something that people are watching. It does not argue well for a civil society. And as far as we are concerned, we will meet every challenge head on, whether it's agencies of the government of India. Politically, we will take BJP head on whenever it's required. We are one, we stand together, stand united. And like I said, you can investigate all that you want. Nothing will come out. These are purely baseless, frivolous charges. Nothing will ever come out of it. It's just to create a hype around something that the government can do because they're in power. But nobody remains in power for all times to come.
One final question, Mr. Pilot. You say that the government is trying to do this. The timing suspect. Why is the timing suspect? There is no election in order. You still have about 4 or 5 months to go before Gujarat and Himachal votes.
No. There are elections to the President of India. There are elections in 2 states, then Karnataka, then my own state. So elections are an ongoing cycle. I mean, to keep the country on a boil, to use divisive politics, to talk about, temple and masjid all the time, to suppress and detain political opponents of every party, especially the Congress has been targeted because Congress target is the one that can actually challenge and beat the BJP nationally. At a pan-India level, it is the Congress that can take on the BJP, and the BJP knows that. So government of India's actions really say that they're somehow scared of what the reactions might be. As far as Mr. Gandhi is concerned, he went and answered all the questions yesterday. And I'm quite surprised how anybody knows what the questions were, what was asked, what was answered. So this also planted leakage of information, which is unverifiable, but is out in the public domain through the media, is also something that should be investigated. Who's telling who what questions were asked? There are people in a room. How does the media get to know? These selective leaks also, I think, show that government has something to hide, and they're trying to tarnish the image of the leadership and assign blame to them when none exists.
No, clearly there have been leaks. You've seen it in the past as well. But Mr. Pilot, one quick question. So is the Congress going to be out in full strength if Mr. Rahul Gandhi is summoned again tomorrow?
Make no mistake, we are all together, united, speaking in one voice, and we are speaking against the injustice and the brutal behavior of the government, the biased way in the way agencies have acted, and they are simply targeting leaders just to sully their image and keep them under pressure. But that will not work. We are on the street. We will not only do the politics of Mr. Father of our nation. We are a Gandhian party. We have a tradition to follow. We'll do everything we want, but we will not be bogged down by the violent behavior of the police and the government.
Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Pilot. Thank you there. Well, in all probability, if Rahul Gandhi is summoned again for the third day running, Mr. Pilot does confirm the entire Congress is going to be out in the streets again. Thank you there for joining us. We have our guests as well. Ms. Sarangi, I apologize. I know you wanted to put in those 5-point questions. It's a personal apology. Sorry, we couldn't take that. This is all the time that I have for right now. I thank all our guests for joining us. I'm sorry we got in a guest in the middle. Once again, Ms. Sarangi, apologies there.